Hello and welcome to The Good, The Bad and The Worst, a podcast where normally we talk about trilogies, but today we're talking about the year that was 2022. I'm your host Griner, joining me are Conan and Luke as always. Boys, 2022, was it a positive year for you guys in general, or is it just another added to the list of the long list of terrible years we've had recently?
It was like 2020 part 2, but
Yeah.
no, it was an alright year for me. I don't know, personally and professionally, it was a pretty alright year. Some big changes, but overall, like for entertainment wise, I feel like it was a pretty good year. In the mediums that I enjoy entertainment. Yeah, few good movies and few good TV shows and some good games as well. So yeah, good year for me.
Definitely my worst year on record
Oof.
in all 29 years of life, except maybe my second year, being two, I can only assume sucked.
Terrible.
But
yeah.
2022, bad year, not good. That's why I made up with it by watching 131 movies and lots of TV. So
Escaped reality.
Yeah, I hid in the dark room and just I did cinema. This is what cinema's for, to escape our boring, miserable lives and experience the chance at betterness. So that was my year.
I feel like this was the first year where we broke out of COVID and things were coming out regularly. Everything was coming to the cinema, which was nice from a media perspective. A lot of those games that got delayed due to COVID came out. Same with movies and TV shows. Yeah. Luke,
No,
were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I feel like I turned 30 last year, so I feel like I'm now more mature and wise, and I feel like I've ticked off a few movies, like especially through this podcast. I feel like I ticked off a lot of movies that have been on my my wall of shame list for a long time. So it's time for me to work my way through some of those films.
I feel like as this podcast gets older, we're delving deeper and deeper into the cinema archives and finding those rare gems that we might not have watched otherwise, and maybe some shitty movies too. But that's all right. Yep. We have plenty of good times and pain ahead of us. But let's look back at 2022. We're gonna go through 3 picks that we want to recommend to everyone. Some of them we might have already talked about on this podcast a little bit. There's also going to be TV shows in here as well. Conan, since you saw 131, do you want to kick us off with your first horror movie?
I am not a one-trick pony.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, look, you're right. There's a lot of movies here that we have already spoken about. My top 5, 2 of them have been discussed at length.
Avatar and Wakanda Forever, obviously.
Two great cinema experiences. No, yeah, I will. There's a couple of films. That's for on my list is pretty. It's pretty Hollywood focused. It's pretty Western. Not intentionally. It's just a matter of there just seems to be what was at the cinema and what we saw because there was a lot of podcasts going on. So we did that. And I'm not going to put on some of like the award season stuff. Like I saw Fabelmans and Banshees of Inisherin yesterday, but they're going to be because in Australia, they come out like the 26th. They come out the last 5 days of 2022.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get a chance to see them until this. So I'm not going to talk about them, but they probably would be on here. So, but as a result, I'm also going to talk about a film that was technically, I think, a 2021 release, but it was like the first week of 2022 I saw it. And I'll talk about that now.
It's our podcast. We can do what we like. I don't mind if there's a little bit of crossover in years. Things come out later in Australia. They might not have come to streaming that you had, I'm happy to be fast and loose with the rules. Go ahead.
Yeah, licensing's weird. So, a film that I absolutely loved from last year, watched it at the beginning and the end, is Licorice Pizza. Now, Luke, I know you didn't like this movie at all, which just makes me want to axe kick you. But I don't know, that's crazy. Griner, did you see this? The Paul Thomas Anderson film?
No, I didn't. I feel like we did talk. Did you recommend this last year?
Did I?
You definitely talked about it.
Yeah. You did.
No, really?
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody's that keen on our podcast that they're writing our picks out. We'd have to go back and listen to the archives.
Maybe I won't talk about it.
I've heard you talk about Licorice Pizza on this podcast, and I can't think of any other reason why.
All right, I won't talk about it.
I mean, if you want it to be a recommendation again, go for it.
I mean, I'll just say that it's a great film. Everyone should watch it. Now, let's talk about Barbarian then. I'll do a horror film. I'm a living joke. Barbarian, what a wonderful revelation of a film. Luke, you saw this, right?
Ron, have you seen it yet?
I was this close to watching it last night.
Yeah. Okay. So
I'll watch it soon. I promise.
I won't.
good.
Obviously, we won't
Yeah,
spoil anything.
Don't
but,
say Go into it
like-
blind, man.
I had heard that from Conan earlier this year. I believe it was his Instagram post where he was like, "Don't even look at these pictures I'm posting. Like, just watch this film. Don't listen. Don't read anything." And I did. I hadn't watched any trailers. I didn't look at anything. And just went into this movie completely unknown, just knowing that it was a horror film. And yeah, it just a trip. I was not expecting it to go where it did, or what there was. It's hard to not talk about stuff in this film, but it stayed with me afterwards, and by the end of it, I was just like, man, what a great film. That was really, really good.
Yeah.
And I texted Conan straight away. I was just like, dude, Barbarian, what the hell? This is great. So no, highly recommended from me as well, Barbarian.
Yeah.
I'm not a horror guy, but it's a damn good film.
It's just in a year where we're increasingly seeing horror become like one of the only genres that goes to cinemas and is successful. Like the other big story is Terrifier 2, which was like this micro budget out of nowhere horror film that became, that made $6 million. Well, sorry, it was like 2 or 3 million. It was like, how did this happen? It was this incredibly remarkable story. Barbarian made 6 million off it, again, like, less than $500,000 budget, and huge success story in that sense because it came out of nowhere. It was one of those movies you see that was a complete wonderful experience. I saw it by myself and I was just like, holy crap, did we all just see that? And I felt like I shared something with people. But it was also the kind of movie you see, like, I'm in the hands of somebody who knows what they're making. They have a clear vision. They have a sense of genre. They know what they're doing. And every choice is confident. There are scenes and parts that I'm like, that's, like Luke said, they stuck with me. I'm like, this is kind of masterful. And that's kind of the thing you want to see from these, like you see these first-time directors or these first movies where these people have done a little bit here or there. So that's great. And so I love that movie.
There's an actor in it that I'm just like, man, he's really great, and I don't see him enough. So
yeah, and it's a perfect use of him as well.
Danny DeVito's in this movie.
Damn it, you haven't watched it.
All right. Thanks, Conan. I'm definitely going to watch that movie. I was this close to watching a movie last night, but it was just getting too late. But it's on the list. Luke.
So it's hard for me with my list, especially in regards to movies, to not talk about ones we covered throughout the year in the podcast. So there are definitely a few that I've left off the list because we have already talked about it. I'll start with a TV show because I'm confident in my TV show picks for this year. So something I want to talk about. So it was the start of the year, close to the start of the year. It was the final season of Ozark. I'm not sure if you guys have watched Ozark at all. Is that correct?
I watched about half the first season.
It's very blue.
So blue.
So blue.
I bailed out after season 1.
So this show really, like, I don't know, it scratched a Breaking Bad itch for me, like that sort of high quality TV show that I can get addicted to watching. We're super looking forward to it. This is the final season. The acting is incredible in this show, and I really feel like the last season is an incredible piece of television. I'm horrible with actresses' names, but oh my god, Marty Bird from Thingo, but Marty Bird, the main character. What's his name? I've forgotten. Oh,
Jason Bateman.
Yeah,
yes,
Jason Bateman.
of course. I can't believe I
Who's
blanked on
Marty
Jason Bateman.
Bird?
Yeah.
That's his character in Ozark.
All right.
Yeah, I know him as that now. But he's phenomenal in this. A lot of great actors and actresses in this show. I highly recommend watching it now that you can binge the whole thing. I believe it's 4 seasons or 5 in total on Netflix. Really, really good show. Like it gives me that tension that, like, the stuff in Breaking Bad where I'm just like on the edge of my seat. It gives me anxiety, like, oh my god, what's gonna happen to these characters? Like, it's constantly like they're in serious shit with people who do not mess around. And yeah, I really enjoy that show, and I enjoy the aesthetics of the Ozarks. Like,
You like the blueness?
I like the blueness, obviously. Look at my background. I love the blue. I feel like definitely the first season's way bluer than the others. But there obviously is a filter. Same as if you ever go to Mexico, it's an orange.
Yeah, they're just trying to imitate Breaking Bad when they go to Mexico, right?
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, really, really good show. I highly recommend it. So yeah.
Yeah, Julie Garner is really, really good. And I
That's
think
the
that
one.
and I think that that show kind of made, so she's in a lot of stuff now. She was in that
Yeah,
that show about the
the other
con
Netflix
artist.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And she was in that movie,
and
the Secretary, I think. Like, she's got a career now, and she's fantastic from this.
from that, and like I'll just say there's like one specific scene or episode from her that's like honestly some of the best acting that I've ever seen. That when she delivered these few lines, both me and my wife like sat there and got goosebumps and like looked at each other like, holy shit, I felt that. That was like
Mm.
raw acting, and it was like superb. And I'll always remember just that scene of like her acting in it because it was phenomenal. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, she good.
I
She
reckon.
good.
Griner.
Oh, so I always feel like I should go back to Ozarks, but I don't know that it's ever going to happen. We'll see. My first recommendation is a little movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, there it is.
Ooh.
This is a movie, like, I'd heard it was coming out. It looked really right up my alley, and then it didn't come to our local cinema. It didn't come to streaming that I could get a hold of for ages. So I only watched it just recently. But I really love my time with it. I'm really enjoying the Michelle Yeoh renaissance. She seems to be in everything these days, and I think she's fantastic. Short Round as her offsider was a great surprise when we looked up who he was and what he was from.
Nuts, right?
Really
Just
enjoyed
nuts.
that. And I don't know, that, like, multiple times during that movie, I'm just like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But I was just enjoying every minute of it. I had a lot of fun with it. Have you guys seen this movie?
Awesome.
I watched this film 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I knew a bit about it, but still like nowhere near. Like it blew me away, like what's going on in this film. But like my wife, I was just like, she had no idea about this film or anything. She'd never even heard of it, and I was just like, I can't tell you anything about it. Just trust me. Apparently, it's good. And it got really weird, and I was like, apparently, it's really good. Just bear with me. I know it seems really weird, but it is really good. I feel like there was some profound stuff in that. And that's another movie that I feel like will really stick with me as well. And it's different and it's loopy and crazy, but really really good with some great performances in it. And yeah, maybe we'll get the renaissance of Short Round.
I think
he's great.
I think that like he does have offers now. Like he's looking.
He has
like
a really unique voice too. Like he
does.
The whole time I was like, his voice is so high pitched.
I can hear it right now in my head. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
He'd be great at voice work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was named Times Icon of the Year 2022, which is pretty crazy because of sort of what she's done for the industry. Yeah, I saw this back when it came out. On my infamous Instagram top 5, this was an honorable mention. We don't know if it was number 5 or if it was an honorable mention. I loved it. It was really good. My issue with it, not my issue with it, but I think I'm a bit more on the lukewarm side of it in terms of there is a huge contingency of people that are like, this is Best Picture. This is Film of the Year. There are people who are like actively campaigning against everything else and like, this is the only good movie of the year. This must win because this is what we need today. This is, this is like the Parasite of our year. This is the Moonlight of our year. It didn't speak to me to that level. And I do think part of it could be simply because I'm a white guy and this is clearly like a story about a family, like, it's a family of immigrants and sort of that generational difficulty. And it's got a lot of universal things, but there is clearly like a context to it that I think appeals to other people more.
Yeah, like I definitely think, you're right. I agree.
Yeah. But like, I love just the balls of the Daniels, like just doing what they do here.
Yeah.
And just going absolute crazy and making it work. Like it spoke to so many people. I'm like, that's, because, on the other hand, I'm like, this is what we need. This is the voice. These are those voices that I'm always yearning for in the movie industry, like people who just see the world in a different way. Yeah. And my I guess my main issue with it is that I don't think it works when they try to round it all back. I kind of like it there, just complete crazy chaoticness. But yeah, what a fun movie.
I don't know. I've really come to appreciate media where it feels big and grandiose. Like there's a big world-ending or multiverse-ending thing going on, but the real story is a really small, heartfelt story, and that has a lot of heart. And I think this movie really succeeded with that for me personally. Like I really enjoyed, the connection she had with her daughter at the end. Like I get what you mean. Like it definitely, I can understand how that would appeal a lot to like immigrants and people whose parents moved to a country, and the pressures that they put on their kids. There's a whole lot of stuff to that, but I just had a really, really good time with it, and I really enjoyed where it came back together at the end. But
I don't want to shit on this movie.
No, I'm not saying you are. It's okay for us to have different opinions.
This is my first time
it as much as I did. That's fine.
And this is my first time talking about it with you guys properly.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I just think the whole, and spoiler alert for Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think just the whole sort of the long reveal at the end about like her nihilism monologue and how the everything bagel is nihilism. It kind of speaks. I feel like it speaks a lot to kind of a not even Gen Z necessarily, but it speaks a lot to a group or an audience of people who are disillusioned with the world that we're in, and nihilism seems kind of like a almost romantic ideal of like everything's going wrong. Why do we care?
Yeah, and
I found that a little bit lacking, where it's like this long trying to be like nihilism. Here's why, and then ultimately it's like, oh, family's important. I'm like, that just didn't click with me. But everything else works great.
I'll just say it was a bit of a treat, the absurd things they had to do to skip like to a different, bring in a different dimension thing. And every time they do something super random, and there's a few really like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm witnessing this scene at the moment.
I mean, where they show the like at the start, they show her awards. Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie as well, and she's great.
She's fantastic.
Yes,
as well.
They show the awards, and I'm like, man, that looks like a butt plug, and then that comes back around as
I
a
know,
and I'm like, oh man.
Yep.
But like the rock scene had me cackling in the cinema, where it's just like ha 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 ha.
And just how long it goes
really
too. Like
funny.
they just have a full-on actual like conversation.
It's just totally silent too. Yeah, it works really. It's really well done.
Yeah,
and I don't know the hot dogs for fingers.
I was about to say
something's in my brain forever probably.
I don't know why I found the hot dog fingers so funny, but the more times they went back to it, the funnier I found it. So
in a year with a lot of multiverses, this is the multiverse movie that I want to watch for sure.
That's the thing. Compare this to Doctor Strange. It's like, holy crap! You have the worst example of one and the best example of them.
Let's not start hating on my pick before I say my pick.
Do you want to get kicked? Do you want to get kicked in the first second?
Doctor Strange, by comparison, like here's all the fan service things we can do. Oh, and we might show you like a paint world for 5 seconds, whereas in this movie we get a love story in a world with hot dog fingers, and that's a lot better. So
they actually use the multiverse. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
All right, Conan, what's your next pick?
Oh, it's me again.
It's you again.
I'll go to TV. I'll go to TV for this one. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but everyone needs to see it. It's a little show called The Rehearsal. Now, it's made by a guy named Nathan Fielder.
Yeah.
Grant, I know you've seen some of Nathan For You. Luke, have you seen any of it?
No.
Or do you know this guy? Do you know anything about this show or this guy? No?
No, I'm Googling it now as we speak. But
so he is Canada's best export, I think. He's this bizarre comedian.
Hey. I'm from Canada.
Sorry. Besides present company excluded, my apologies. Nathan Fielder, though, he's one of the most interesting comedians. He blurs those lines between like a character and reality. And this show pushes that to the umpteenth level. Like, think of Nathan For You up to 11, then torn apart, then reassembled in a multiverse and rebuilt, and just it's crazy. Basically, the premise is he's creating a self-help show. Like he's filming himself do this program for people where he rehearses confrontations. So someone wants to have a conversation with someone that they're nervous about, and he's like, "Cool, we will rehearse it." So the first episode, he like starts to literally dress up as people. He builds sets. He's like, "We're going to meet in a bar." He's like, "Okay, this is the stool you're going to sit in," and they rehearse this and they go down to the molecular level of like, you'll order a drink. Here are 3 lines that you should say, and they rehearse them. And he's like, "Oh, this line's better because it's a little bit funnier, but it's not quite as annoying. She probably won't take that the wrong way. So you say this line of dialogue." Anyway, it starts off as that, but where it goes from there just gets crazier, and it becomes so bizarre and so poignant. It's like it's a show I think about. I'm like, that. I don't know if I've seen fiction. I don't know if I've seen the most real of real. It's crazy. It's so good. Like,
I remember you texting me about this, and you're like, I can't tell if this is real or not. And I've heard from multiple people like them genuinely crying over the final episode and stuff. So
yeah,
it's something on my list. I think I need to watch it, but I just haven't got to it.
I am on board for this. Just reading, I'm just like 100%. This is my next week. I'm like, thank you. I needed a show to watch. So
yeah, it's amazing. I don't know how we got the budget for it. Like, I don't know how anyone greenlit this show. But I feel that's more of like, this is one of the most interesting, unique things I've seen in a long time. It's great.
Nathan Few is one of those shows that I think has had a long tail in social media. Like, I see it shared, like segments from it shared all the time on social media.
Okay.
And maybe that's just me, but I feel like he's probably got a sellable name in that, I'd say.
Yeah, okay, I hope so, because I love what he does.
I love people who create unique things, so I hope he can keep doing it.
Yep.
Luke, what's next?
Doctor Strange, right? So no. So I'll actually do another TV show. So I was this year was like TV shows for me. I felt like I watched and watched a lot of TV shows. And
Good
movies.
Good year for TV.
Like, here's the thing, I could say my top 3 movies, but most of my movies I'll put as honorable mentions because we've already discussed them throughout the year. So check out my thoughts on them in that other podcast. But a TV show I just want to give a shout out to that I ended up really enjoying, and I don't know if you guys have watched it yet. A little show called House of the Dragon. Obviously, after the downfall of Game of Thrones in the final season, that like I was the guy that every year watched every season of Game of Thrones again up until the new season was coming out. Like, it would be the 2 months before, it was like, all right, let's start all over again every year. And I have not watched a second of Game of Thrones since I watched that finale. I haven't even rewatched the finale. I was there. I was out. I was like, okay, cool. I have no desire.
It is spectacular how they ruined that show. Like,
yes.
You and me both. I rewatched that show multiple times as new seasons came out. We would always be texting about it on the Monday. Like, have you seen this bit yet? Have you seen this bit? But I cannot watch that show again. And I don't know. It's a real testament to D&D that they were able to do that to that show, because
fantastic effort, man.
I don't know anything else like it. There are other shows that have bad endings, and everyone's like, just don't watch the last season.
I could watch Lost again, and I don't know about Game of Thrones.
This show is totally spoiled. It's unbelievable. Sorry, Luke. Carry on.
But so that's the thing. I came in with, and I don't. It seems weird to say there was no hype around House of the Dragon, because obviously there were stuff around it. But it seemed to me all of a sudden I was like, oh wow, that's coming out next week. Like, the first episode's out. Like, it didn't feel like Game of Thrones level for me. And then obviously, watch the first episode, and then like I go online, I see all the reactions of like people saying how many people watched it. There was that famous like viral video of like an apartment building in America.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the lighting in every window is changing at the same time because everyone's watching House of the Dragon, and it's like this. It brought back that memory of everyone watching Game of Thrones and then being like, "Oh my god, look what happened to the Viper! What the hell? We didn't talk about this." Like, it was. I really enjoyed it. I did really enjoy it. Maybe I felt like maybe the first few episodes it took a bit to get into it. There's a lot of time jumps where like they've recast people. Sometimes people are recast when the time change has been like 2 or 3 years, and it's like, okay, that's not how aging works. But whatever, I'll work with it.
There's a lot of great memes about that. Like, some characters stay the exact same.
Yeah, some people don't age, and then other people change a lot in those 3 years. Hormones, it's crazy.
Yep.
But I will just say, like, it scratched that itch of Game of Thrones for me again, where every week I would tune in as soon as I got home from work, and it was like that night, the kids are in bed. I was like, all right, it's House of the Dragon time. Like, let's watch the latest episode. The theme song would play. I'd get goosebumps. I'd be like, okay, cool. I'm back in this world, and it was good to be back in that world, but not back in that world. If you know,
is it the same? Is it the same theme song?
I don't want to spoil it, but it is. I was expecting it to be a new song. It's obviously
the theme song is a spoiler. That's a wild take. But sorry,
but it's the original theme still, so they didn't change it.
I would have expected them to change it.
Yeah, same. I was like, oh my god, I wonder what the theme song will be. Will it be as great as the original? It is. Yeah. But I did really enjoy that show, and I had that same thing when it finished of being like, oh, I've got to wait 1.5 years for the next season. This sucks. Like, and it's been a while since I felt that about a show. So
there is. I wasn't even sure there is more to come. It's not just a one season and done show.
oh no, definitely. I think it's planned, as in they're saying, and it's not going to be this thing that keeps on going until they figure out something. Because obviously they have the source material for what they're doing. It's a 5-season show, so and it's definitely just picking up. So yeah.
What's this?
I like a show that's planned out.
Yeah,
doesn't
George
try
Martin
to live on past it should.
No, George Martin is very conscious about that. He's like, there's 5 seasons of TV here. Here's the content. Here's what we can do. So I don't think he wants to have the same mistake.
He still hasn't released the ending of Game of Thrones. It's
No,
crazy.
yeah, he's never.
It's never happening. No.
Shout out to Millie Alcock, representing Australia. That's cool.
I didn't know she was Australian, but she was fantastic in this.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that yeah. I won't say anymore, but yeah.
I'm keen to get back in. I feel like you're right. The reception was pretty muted around this. It kind of came out, and there was definitely a contingency of people who were keen, but it was not the global phenomenon that it once was. Like, it was not everyone everywhere watching it. But I think,
All at once.
all reception is pretty. Everything kind of seems consensus. The consensus seems to be like Game of Thrones is still a thing, which is cool. I'm glad this is not being not swamped down, not overshadowed by the failure.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll probably pick this show up before the next season, I'd say.
I'm completely blanking on actors' names. What's the guy's name that was Doctor Who? Matt Smith.
Matt Smith
is fantastic in this show. Like,
he's
so good.
He's
I don't
good
have
in
much
everything,
exposure
even when the movie's shit, he's good in things. But
I
anyway.
don't have much exposure to Matt Smith. This is really probably my first exposure. And I
you
was
never
like,
watched The
wow.
Crown?
No. And
Best
I'm
show
like, wow,
of-
he's a great actor, and he's really good in this. So
The Crown is the best show of every year it's ever been released.
I don't
So
know.
just come back to that.
Yes. Anyway, that's my number 2.
Nice. All right, I'm going to switch to TV as well. I'll talk about a little show called Severance. Have either of you guys seen this show?
No, I need to. I really need to.
Don't look anything up. I won't spoil anything. The premise, I'll give you the basic premise because this is written on the box basically, but it's about these employees who undergo a procedure that allows them to separate their memories by their location. So when they go into work, they're a different person to when they go home. So they go down an elevator, and that's their work persona that takes over. They work for 8 hours, and then they wake up again when they come out of the elevator at the end of the day. And they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing down there because it's very secretive work. And it's just fascinating where they take this show. I really, really enjoyed it. It's a really, really interesting concept. Adam Scott is great. I love him. He looks freaking terrible in this show. Like he's
got the weirdest hair, dude.
He looks like he's really aged a lot in the last few years, and they're definitely doing that for the show because it's part of his character. But I know Ben Stiller is involved, producer, director.
Yeah, he's director,
writer. I don't know. He's done a lot in this show, and it's very well done. Takes a bit to pick up, but the concept alone intrigued me so much, and it reminds me a lot of Lost. Yeah, there's definitely some Lost vibes there where they sort of instead of flashing forward or flashing back to what their lives were like and now how they are on the island, it's the same person on the same day, but while they're at work and then while they're at home, and it's really, really interesting. So highly recommend it. I won't say any more than that because it will spoil it. But Severance, Apple TV, very, very good.
I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, this is like on everyone's list of top best TV of the year. Like I think this is going to go on to be one of those shows that is, that stands the test of time. People will talk about it for years to come.
Yeah, I really hope they I haven't looked into it, but I hope they have a plan for this show too, because I could see them just doing the Lost thing where they just ask more questions than they ever answer, which I found frustrating. Though some people can look past that, but they definitely leave you with questions after this season, and I hope they have a plan. Anyway, I won't spoil it. Go watch it. It's really good.
I'm
I'll
keen.
have to check it out.
I guess that's me again, right? All right. Is someone going to talk about Top Gun? Do I leave that there or do I do it?
I think we're going to bring it up in the honourable mentions because we've already done a whole podcast about it. But I think it would be.
There's no way we don't talk about it in this podcast.
I'll leave Top Gun and note there then. But that then leaves me in a weird spot. I've got no more movies left.
There's a TV show I'm surprised you're not talking about.
Oh no, there's two. We're a movie podcast, guys.
I know, but I'm going to have another TV show too.
Come on, all right, I'm just gonna give me 10 seconds to.
The problem is we changed the format of the show this year, where we looked more at movies that had just come out in the cinema. Which some cases there was a trilogy, but Maverick and Batman, not so much.
Yeah.
So they're definitely movies we would normally talk about in this slot, but we have a whole podcast about them. Go listen to that.
That's so true.
And we barely get to talk about TV shows.
Yeah, that's true. All right, look, whatever. I want to talk about that as well. No, I'll talk about Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul.
We go.
Final season. What a work of art. My goodness. Grada, you haven't kept up with this, have you?
No, I watched like the first half of the first season and didn't continue with it. It's a great shame. I should pick it up.
It only gets better.
It literally does. Like, it keeps getting better, that show.
Yeah, I've heard.
This is one of the few shows that, I kept up to date with. Me and my wife watched it every week as it came out. Like, we've kept up with it more than Yellowstone, which is saying something because I'm a big Taylor Sheridan guy. But Better Call Saul, it's peak TV. It's like
we texted every week after
we went back and forth like, holy crap, how about this? How about that? I think in the last episode I was like, because I think you didn't see it for a few days or something, Luke. Am I right in that?
Yeah, I think.
And so I feel like I was like, holy crap, there's this stuff happening. And I was just very excited. But it's one of those ones, just everything it kind of does everything that TV almost shouldn't do. There's a lot of breathing room, a lot of things that happen that you're like, that's weird. It's just spend 20 minutes showing the life of somebody and not really doing anything but just setting scene. But that is such a powerful way of telling character. And so that's what this show is. It's just characters. And, that's the core of drama. So it's like doing the best thing that TV and movies should do. But there are some scenes in that just live with you. There's these performances in this last season that are mind-boggling. Like Rhea Seehorn should be...
robbed.
Robbed. Absolutely. Like, it's horseshit that there was no Emmy love. I'm so mad.
Yeah.
Like, she should be like the Meryl Streep level. She is such a good actress. She needs more stuff. And just the way they conclude the story as well. So besides it's all like the filmmaking, every part of it is like 11 out of 10. The way they wrap this up, like it goes in directions you kind of don't expect, but then you also feel inevitable and feel perfect. And just the final scene is wonderful. And just, like it's the last of us. Like it's the last of a type of show that is just a joy to watch. Just every episode I watched, I was like, I love this. I want this all the time. I want to rewatch 60 hours of these lawyer shenanigans because it's just so good.
Yeah,
and it's criminal that Cinnabon just 40 minutes of Cinnabon stuff. Like, it's great. It's just criminal that not many more people watch this. Like, you look at the metrics of this show.
It dropped off, man. As the quality got better, the people stopped watching.
It's just so disappointing. And everyone will always be like, this is the bad little brother of Breaking Bad. But I know, like, this show's better than Breaking Bad.
That's broke talk. Woke talk is that this is better than Breaking Bad. It's to pass it. Like, so here's the thing, and like it's probably what happened with Griner as well. But like, I'll admit, I remember like the first 2 seasons being like, and I felt like it probably came from a place. And I'm very interested in going back and rewatching it from the beginning again. But the first 2 seasons, I was very much like, okay, let's get to Saul. Like, where's Saul Goodman? Like, not Jimmy McGill. I don't want Jimmy McGill. I want Saul Goodman. Like, where's that? And it was waiting for that. So I remember feeling like it's good TV and it's well done and well acted. And I'm like, but it's a little boring. Like, where's the excitement? Like, where's that? And I wasn't just savoring the ride so much. I was waiting to get to a point, where it was more crossing over with Breaking Bad territory or whatever. But the last few seasons were just absolutely phenomenal television, and I'm actually very excited to go back and rewatch the show again. So, and Breaking Bad, like this again. I didn't need another excuse, but I was like, I want to go back and watch Breaking Bad again now. This is great.
Just the Albuquerque verse. What a place to be.
Yeah.
Where everything's orange and desert.
Yeah. Highly recommended. So
I will watch it. I will.
No,
although the last recommendation you guys gave me was Hannibal, and that was a slog for me.
How dare you?
I didn't enjoy it. Anyway, go ahead, Luke.
So my number 3. This is kind of probably not expected, and I don't know if any of you guys watched this film. I won't say that this is an amazing film, but I'll say it's a surprising one. As in, I really enjoyed it. And that's The Lost City with Channing Tatum and
Hey,
Sandra
take
Bullock.
this.
Seriously?
Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock.
Get off the
trailer.
podcast.
I saw the trailer for this movie with Griner. It was funny because there was 2 Channing Tatum trailers in a row. There was this and Dog, whatever movie, and we were just like 2 Channing Tatum movie trailers in a row. This is weird. The renaissance of Channing Tatum. But I eventually watched this when it came out on streaming, and it's just a fun comedy, and there's like a really, really, really good cameo in this. That I almost don't want to spoil who's in it, but like
I don't think
he's
either of us care.
fantastic. Okay, well,
It's not Daniel
Brad
Radcliffe.
Pitt.
You don't
No,
have to do
Brad
it.
Pitt.
I mean,
Brad Pitt.
he's like he's 5th in the cast listings.
He's in the trailer
But
too,
he-
wasn't he?
No. So he shows up, and basically, like, you think he seems like what should be the hero in the film, like the action star, like, you know, and Channing Tatum's this like bumbling idiot. And it's just a hilarious 20 minutes with him, and then it's just Channing and Sandra Bullock. I think their chemistry is really good, and Daniel Radcliffe being the villain in this and just being like insane, like he's just an insane character. And it was just they were just having fun, and it was just a lot of funny comedy. I like Channing Tatum.
Me too.
Yeah, I
know,
do too.
Like I've grown to really like him over the years. I saw him on an episode of Running Wild with Bear Grylls where he talked about like struggles he's had in his personal life, and I mean that's an awesome show as well, Running Wild with Bear Grylls. But
Honorable mentions.
this movie was just entertainment, and since I can't talk about a lot of the better movies than this, I'll just say this was a fun movie that I can happily recommend to people, and I reckon they would enjoy it, especially like watching with a partner or like, you know, family or anything like that. It's a fun movie. So yeah, The Lost City, check it
Fair
out.
enough. I'm coming around on Daniel Radcliffe. I think he's trying very hard to make a career for himself.
Yeah.
He's great in this, man. He's
And
great.
I think he's fine.
Yeah, I admire him for just taking the big swings. I
mean,
want to see weird.
He's been in a lot of weird shit, like Swiss Army Man.
Swiss Army. Speaking of the
Weird-ass
Daniels.
Yeah, that was them too, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was them. Yeah, he's in that movie Guns Akimbo. Like he's just.
What's the one
doing
with him
some
where he's
out
got
there stuff.
horns as well? He's the devil or some shit.
the movie Horns. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it's called.
weird
there you go.
things.
All right, I really had trouble picking my third. I have a lot of TV shows that are all right there, I think. But I'm going to go with Yellow Jackets.
Yum.
Yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this show. Again, lost vibes, but that's okay.
What was good?
Have you guys seen this? I know you have, Conan. Have you seen this, Luke?
So I was very, very keen to watch this. For a while, I heard a lot of people talking about it. And then it seemed like I started seeing a lot of people going back against it and being like, "Oh, it wasn't that good."
Really?
Or yeah, there was a point I was really keen on, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, it's people like the discourse has changed on it. Maybe it wasn't that good, and I eventually took it off my list, and I was like, I don't need to go and watch that. So I haven't gotten around to watch it, but now that you're saying it, and then I go on and I don't know, Rotten Tomatoes says 100%, so it must be pretty good.
It must be perfect. It must
You
be
know,
without
it must be
flaws.
The scale we love.
amazing. But yeah, I mean, I'll have to check it out. So yeah, okay, true.
Any of those like stranded, lost shows, I don't know. They're always a lot of fun, and this one's pretty. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of unique. Like it starts out showing you where these girls end up, and then you see how it begins, and you see how they are as adults, and the trauma that they have left over from that, and it's a fascinating mix, and I'm really keen to see where this show goes because they leave so much unanswered.
Yeah.
And I just really want to see the descent of these girls into cannibalism. It's not a secret. They show it in the opening scene, and
Literally opening scene.
yeah,
Elijah Wood is in this.
No,
He's in the cast.
he might be in
Walter.
season 2. I think he's in season 2.
he might be coming on board.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a cast of people that I know, except for
But Melanie
Linsky.
Linsky and
who's the Casper girl? What's her name?
You mean
Christina Ricci?
the
Christina Ricci, yeah.
Christina Ricci, and the other what's her face who plays the badass?
Juliette Lewis.
Julia Lewis, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's not like A-listers, but it's big
Yeah.
character actors.
Oh, but I think they're all really good in this show.
So good. And the younger actresses, like the two best friends, especially, like they are both really good. I think what this show does, like compared to Lost, I love Lost. I'm a Lost apologist. I'll take that to my grave. I love it. But the thing that's interesting about this is, like you say, it kind of comes out straight away. It's like, it's not so much, it is a mystery about how they got out, but it's not a mystery of if they do. It's like, no, they survive. And so straight away, you're like, okay, that's interesting. And so it's a lot more about how the descent happens and like what kind of starts to go wrong rather than will they ever get out of this? You know, it's kind of like, it's disguised as a mystery box, but it's not a mystery box.
Yeah.
It's actually like a character drama. And it's like, it's like I say, it's how trauma sort of affects people and how it starts in these, like how this environment happens. It's got this great mystery in there as well, but it's never too supernatural. It's always like, it could be completely real, or it could be supernatural, and it always works either way, and I love it.
Yeah, I enjoy that too. I saw people online frustrated by them not committing to the supernatural side of it, but I like that. You know, there's some things that are just a little too convenient or a little too strange. It's like there's got to be something going on there, but you know, they're not totally unexplainable. And I'm really keen to see where that goes when they continue this show. So, yeah.
I have so many TV shows to watch. I mean, I'm excited.
I mean, I feel like I watched a lot of TV this year, and I still have a lot more to watch.
2022 was just a year for TV. Like,
I think you're right.
Things like the honorable mention, The Bear, Andor.
I thought The Bear was going to be Grindr's pick.
It nearly was my pick. Before we get to honorable mentions, let's bring the podcast down a bit. Let's do our most disappointing piece of media for 2022. Conan, kick us off. What was your most disappointing movie or TV show?
There was a movie made by people who were once the most profitable people in Hollywood. Two brothers named Anthony and Joe Russo. We thought that they carried the world on their shoulders with what they did for the Marvel Universe. But holy crap, they have proven themselves to be the worst. They're like something about duos, the Double Ds, how they just screwed up Game of Thrones, and now the Russos, how they screwed up everything. They made this movie called The Grey Man, and it is atrocious. It boggles my mind how a movie can be this bad. Now, this movie... Yep.
Were you like excited for the movie?
I was cautiously optimistic.
Given the pedigree, I think that's
fair.
Yes.
Yeah, fair
that's where I was, and then I just heard nothing good about it. Like, I'm not going to bother.
The Russo brothers' name still held something to me.
In the synopsis, I was remember being like,
that's
going to be cool.
Great spy flick. I was like, I love this. It's just it's going to be solid. And then you had Ryan Gosling, I love. Chris Evans, who I love.
With a mustache?
With a mustache, which I love.
Yeah.
Like, it had all the ingredients there. It had everything that I thought. And it's just this fascinating misstep. Every single thing they do is like the wrong decision. Every choice, every shot, every actor they bring in, every character they create is just the wrong choice to do it. And it's not like an intentional, you subverted. It's like, no, you guys actually aren't as competent as we once thought. I think you're good in the writer's room and you're good when you work in a machine like the Marvel machine, but you're not good when you have creative freedom. Because they made Cherry, they made another film in between that, and they made this, and they are just awful. And this movie costs like $200 million, and it's impossible to figure out why. There's nothing that looks good. There's no use of that money anywhere. It's just like it's
in someone's pocket.
Well, and then the worst thing, the thing that just made me so angry was they came out and they're like, cinema sucks. You don't need cinema. Watching movies at home is awesome. Just do that. And I'm like, you guys created the biggest movie in the world once because of what it did at the box office. But now because Netflix is giving you, just paying you checks, you were like, nah, everyone needs to stop romanticizing cinema. I'm like, it's gross.
They need to go back to the MCU, actually, before they ruin their careers.
No, they need to go back to the writer's room of small comedies, like Arrested Development and Community. They just need to be like, hey, can you guys do a little bit? Not have creative freedom. They're hopeless at it.
So should I not watch the next Daniels movie, Sight Unseen? I'll have to. Are they another duo that's just gonna go down in dumps? Are you saying all duos are bad? I feel like we're getting there.
Yeah, eventually there's a 100% failure rate on directing duos.
I'm concerned.
On a long enough timeline. Yeah, that was my worst film of the year. It hurt me. It hurt me personally, to be honest.
That sucks.
So, for me, I've got two.
Hold on. I think you have a hot take here, and I'm keen to talk about it. But go. I just want to call it early. Yeah, I'm hoping you name a movie, but otherwise I'll name it in my honorable mentions.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't think
I'm not.
so.
Maybe not. Okay.
I don't think.
How is it a hot take if you both name it?
No, it'd be in my honorable mentions. It'll be one of the movies that I think was
Oh,
good.
sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, but go ahead.
No. So, quick disappointment. I just want to say we talked about it in a podcast, so I won't go in as my main one. But Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Honestly, like there's some bad MCU movies. This is the first one where I was like, oh man, like this is boring and like I'm not enjoying this film. And I had a thought where I was like, has Top Gun ruined the MCU for me now? Because like this, like I was so hyped for Love and Thunder. I was like, okay, we got Chris Hemsworth, who was hilarious in Ragnarok, was great in the final Avengers movies. We've got the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. And Taika Waititi, he can do no wrong, but yes, he can.
Yes,
And this movie I just found was unfunny. Taika Waititi, I feel like, is trying too hard or trying to appease the overlords at Disney too much. I don't know what's going on. Korg is no longer funny when he was hilarious in Ragnarok. Thor is no longer funny when he was hilarious in Ragnarok. The Guardians were there for 2 minutes and said nothing. I don't even know what was up with that. It was just a cameo. That was very disappointing for me, where I walked out of that being like, okay, maybe like, I don't know. The love affair is over with the MCU. I was like, I felt a bit disheartened by that, and I liked Eternals, so like
That's
it wasn't great, but I was like, okay, cool, it's something different. All right, it's not my cup of tea, but the main thing I'll talk about that I found really disappointing this year was actually Lightyear. So as a die-hard Toy Story fan, like I love Toy Story and I love Pixar. Pixar makes some of my favorite movies of all time that I could watch, any day of the week. And to have this like this full movie that's just about the Buzz Lightyear character, like the actual character that they base the action figure around. I was like, okay, this is cool. Like I can see the potential.
You thought that
here.
was cool? You thought that was a good idea?
Not necessarily, but I was like, okay, this is interesting. It's something different. With each trailer, I was like, okay, the trailer's not selling me on it, but I'm sure it'll be good. Pixar make good quality films. This movie was boring. Like, no heart, no comedy, no charm, nothing. And you get rid of Tim Allen. You kill Tim Allen and replace him with Chris Evans and make him your Buzz Lightyear. And it's just, I don't know if that played into it, but it lost its heart. It didn't feel like Toy Story. It didn't feel warm. I don't know. Like I love Toy Story so much. Toy Story 3 is one of my favorite movies of all time. And this was just, I took all my kids, my kids to watch it, and we sat there and I was just like, this movie sucks. I was like, what the hell? And my kids were bored. Like, it wasn't even a good movie for my kids. They were like, are we going home? And they love the Toy Story films. And like, they were just like, this isn't funny. Like, there was no laughter. Very disappointing for me. So, thumbs down for Disney. 2 Disney movies.
Taika Waititi involved as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's in it.
He's cursed, man.
He ruined your year.
He really did.
There's bad things happening at Disney. Just
I don't know what's going on.
All the Disney animation is just going down the toilet.
I don't know. They seem to be churning out a lot of stuff. I don't know if that's the problem, but I mean, I can't say I had any expectations for that movie. I have not seen it, and I won't be seeing it. But
no,
my condolences.
Yeah, thank you. What was your most disappointing?
I'm gonna go with the TV show. Hannibal. No, it's not Hannibal.
Yeah.
But Hannibal didn't come out last year. All right. Have you guys heard of Girl from Plainville?
Yeah.
So it was a TV show. It was based on a case from a few years ago that I remember, which is part of the reason why we watched it, where a young man was a girl was convicted of convincing her boyfriend to kill himself, basically.
I do remember that.
Via text message. So he was suicidal and went through with it. and she texted him encouraging him to go through with it because he was having second thoughts. Very, very sad story. Always stood out to me as, just very sad, and what a tragedy. And they turned it into a TV show, like there was like 8 episodes or something, 9 episodes. It had Elle Fanning in it, and she was great. Like, she did a really good job. They really transformed her for the role, gave her a big forehead and stuff, and she was fine in it. But talk about a TV show that could have been a 90-minute movie. Like, holy dooly, they just spread this thing out over 10 episodes or whatever it was. And it was just so dull. It really should have been a 90-minute made-for-TV movie that comes on in the middle of the day. I mean, court cases are probably not that fascinating at the best of times, but we've seen them dramatized and seen them interesting, and this one was just not. So,
yeah,
big thumbs down. Don't watch it. Not worth your time.
So there's been this big spate this year of another podcast I listen to called them Wikipedia shows. And that's a good way to describe them. Like these true stories that are made into 8-part series or seasons, and they're hour-long stories, but they get dragged out so much because we're in a TV boom. There's this. There was The Dropout with Amanda Seyfried. There was Inventing Anna with Julia Gardner. There was like that We Crashed and Super Pumped, The Battle for Uber. Like there's all these shows about recent infamous cases that all come out, and they're all just like, this is just a Wikipedia summary. It's like, this is just a very basic, then they went here and did this show. And it's like, they don't need to exist, right?
You just know the TV show about the GameStop. Like,
yeah, it's coming. No, that is literally coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to be really boring and uninspired.
Yeah.
It's going to be, here's
it's going to be about a Redditor, right? Like, it's going to be about the guy on Reddit who bought stock.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
And like,
whoa.
I've watched
6-season TV show.
Yeah. I've only watched Inventing Anna out of all them. And I was like, that was same deal. It's a 2-hour movie in a 10-hour show, and why the hell does it keep doing it?
Yeah.
So I'm also sorry, Grant.
Worst trend. Stop doing that.
It's bad, right? We don't need it.
And I think things like Serial, like where they exist in the podcast world, it kind of work, but they're not. I don't know. Like, I feel like that this is the TV version of that, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
All right, let's bring things back up. Have you guys got any honorable mentions, movies or TV shows we didn't talk about that you want to mention now? These can be, we did podcasts about them. Luke, tell us about Maverick.
So, okay, I'll start. Movies. First of all, Top Gun Maverick. We gushed over it for like an hour and a half earlier this year. Go check out that podcast. As someone who'd never seen the original Top Gun and frankly watched it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I don't see what the hype is, went to Maverick, and it was an experience that I'll never forget. It felt like Infinity War with none of the build up, but like I could see the build up for all the 70-year-olds that were there, like this 36-year journey that they've gone on. And that film blew my socks off, as in like I don't know, it like reignited a love of movies for me, where I was just like, this is what a movie should be. Like, it felt like, even though obviously there was CGI, it felt like no CGI. It felt like, man, they're blowing up jets. They're actually, these actors are in these fighter jets flying into bloody Russia and like fighting these people. This is amazing. Like, cinematography, the acting was great. Like the story was great, I felt like, and just, I don't know, that movie made me tear up for characters who I didn't know 48 hours before that, and it just made me.
I still think about that scene with Val Kilmer sometimes. Yes. It was just so deftly done, so well done, and I still think about that movie, even though it's an action movie. Like, that's not the kind of thing that normally happens, but
I want to watch it all the time.
Such is the power of Tom Cruise, the greatest movie star.
Yep, exactly. Anything you guys want to say about Maverick?
We've said it all, but I want to watch it again on my big TV. It won't be the same experience, but I'm keen to dip back in there.
No, that'd easily be that's easily my top 5 of the year.
Same.
A couple of others I'll just quickly go through that. I won't go into depth, but the Batman this year, I really loved that. I love Robert Pattinson, and he is my Batman now. Like, there's certain shots in that film that I still remember like the opening monologue and the music and everything like that. It's just so cool. I really like that. Um, Shout out to Glass Onion.
I thought it was
Well,
going to be on one of your most
Yeah,
disappointing. That's what I
thought you
was
didn't
talking
enjoy it.
about.
yeah, okay, so that's where it was. So honestly, I enjoyed it. Like I really did enjoy the film. I love Knives Out so much.
Yeah,
Like that, the
Knives
first
Out
one
is
is
a phenomenon.
one of my favorite films ever. And I just remember not knowing much about it when I went and watched it at the cinema, Knives Out, and just came out being like, that film was great. And Anna de Armas is awesome. Like I was like, this is what a great cast. And this one as well had a lot of fun. I felt like just dragged a bit before the twist is revealed, and then the second half goes into it a bit more, and then it became more fun for me. I feel like, but and a lot of the characters annoyed me, even though I know like in Knives Out, there's characters like you have the racist, you have like the redditor kid, you have like the greedy people, but like they're entertaining, while a lot of characters in this one were just annoying for me to watch. But I still really enjoyed the movie, so.
I really enjoy the characters. Like, obviously, they're trying to play off of real people, like,
Yeah.
and very, very pointedly as well, which I do think doesn't really work in its favor. Like, there's very obvious parallels between characters in this movie and characters and people in real life, and I don't know that they quite pull that off. But and some of those characters are supposed to be annoying, and sometimes when a character's supposed to be annoying, it is actually annoying and isn't fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I actually found them pretty entertaining. Dave Bautista, I really enjoyed his character. And I thought he was really, really good.
I always love Batista. So.
I hope he can be as good an actor as The Rock one day. That's all I hope.
Man, I don't know. Have you watched Black Adam?
Cinema.
And I'll say this. So one TV show and one movie. So TV show, honorable mention to Lord of the Rings. Now,
tell me why.
Here's the thing. It was almost on disappointing, but it's an honorable mention because I was expecting the worst. I was expecting to actively dislike the show. And what was there, obviously, is never going to live up to my favorite movies of all time, but I enjoyed watching it. And it was running parallel to House of the Dragon. So it was like a feast for me where every week, Monday was House of the Dragon, Friday was Lord of the Rings. And I honestly enjoyed it. And that show is the only show I can definitely say, like, the best way to describe it is, man, that's an expensive looking show. Like, you can tell that a lot of money went into this show. And it looks great. It looked great on my big OLED TV. I was like, this show looks fantastic. Like, this is a TV show. This is nuts. Like, looks better than some movies does. All right, it's not on my list for best stuff because a lot of stuff is still underwhelming in that, and there's a lot of stuff that they're pushing that I'm not a fan of. But it was an all right TV show. So if you like Lord of the Rings at all, or anything like that, then check it out. And last thing, I'll do a shout out to Uncharted, the movie. I wasn't going to put this on my top list, and I wouldn't recommend it unless you're really an Uncharted fan or just you're in the mood for a dumb popcorn flick. But I again, same as Lord of the Rings, had really low expectations for this, and I was like ready to hate it, and I just ended up enjoying the ride. And any little Easter egg that was in there, I was like giddy watching. I was just like, oh my god, there's the theme from this scene, and like that's really cool, and like that's a reference to that, and like had a post credits, and I was like, oh my god, post credits, this is amazing. It was fun. I had fun watching it. I watched it twice, so yeah, not highly recommended, but recommended. Conan.
So I got a few. We'll talk about Nope here.
Yes.
Jordan Peele.
It'd be in my top 5 for sure. Yeah.
Yep. I think quite possibly this was the best movie of the year. I'm not sure yet, but fantastic. Just a really great.
Wow.
Like, I love Nope.
It was really good.
I think about it a lot. Yeah, just a great evolution for a director who isn't willing to get tied down to what made him famous, and that, much to the chagrin of the audience, because a lot of people didn't like this movie. But yeah, we talked about it at length. I just think Nope's fantastic.
Same, I do too.
Yeah, on Prey, I think we all enjoyed Prey a lot.
Just
good to see them doing something with that franchise again.
Yep.
Horror movie Speak No Evil. this Dutch or Danish. It just made me feel bad after it. So it's just one of those movies you watch. It's cool to watch a movie that just makes you feel something, even if it feels like shit. And that was Speak No Evil. Just there's one scene of that just kind of haunts me still. And Andor. Speaking of TV,
Well, look at you.
that show.
Star Wars and Disney.
I'm coming. I'm
He's coming.
I'm pretty skeptical. Just leave it there. I'm pretty skeptical. Even The Mandalorian, like I like it, but I'm not like the best show of the year that a lot of people are. People really gush over that. But Andor is. I just finished it tonight before this podcast, and
Oh, really?
there's a few moments that I'm like, there's just some phenomenal sections, and there's this monologue that someone delivers that's just powerful. And this is the Star Wars that. This is the Star Wars people were asking for, the mature take. This is everything they wanted when Disney bought Lucasfilm. Like this is the perfect thing we could get from it. So
Kenobi was this year. That was disappointing.
yes.
Like what a disappointment that show was. Like I don't know if you guys didn't end up
I
watching
couldn't
it,
even
but
get through it, but yeah.
like literally there's maybe 40 minutes of good content that's just because it's Ewan McGregor. But Andor, I keep hearing good things about it. I've lost trust in Star Wars after Boba Fett and
no.
Obi-Wan.
Boba Fett was this year too, and I'm this close to being burned on a Star Wars.
Star Wars bad.
Well, no, like let me put your minds at ease. See Andor, it's good.
I should watch it.
And I think I watched it because I didn't watch either of those because I'm careful. I'm like, no, I curate my Star Wars content now.
Yeah, smart.
I was trusting after the Mandalorian. I'm like, no, Boba Fett should be good. Was not, and I watched one episode of Kenobi, and I was like, nope, I'm good.
That's me. Grana, what do you got?
I got a bunch of TV. Station 11. Conan, you watched this, and
was
you
that
never
last
got back.
year?
Well, it came out in like late 2020 to 2021, and I only watched it in 2022. Like I say, I'm going to be fast and loose with the rules. Yeah. Station 11, really, really good post-apocalyptic TV show, filming halted due to a pandemic, and it has a pandemic in it that is eerily similar to the one we went through, only much worse. Yeah, like I saw trailers for this and I'm like, oh, it's about this traveling circus. I think I'm good. It's not about a traveling circus. It's really, really good. I won't spoil anything, but highly recommended.
I got into. I think I saw 2 episodes, and then our Stan subscription expired.
Oof.
And then we now already have it for Yellowstone, so I'm like, crap, I've got to pick that back up again. What I saw, I really liked. They're even just like in the 2 episodes, the relationship between Jeevan and the main girl, like the little girl, it's just really sweet. And just seeing them interact, like as a father, and sort of seeing this. It's not, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but seeing like this kind of surrogate relationship start from the very first part. Yeah, it just really kind of hit me, and I'm like, crap. So I know it's going to be good. I liked what I saw. I just
I will say, if you're into The Last of Us, there's a lot of there does feel like a lot of parallels here. Like it's a really reluctant relationship between a father-daughter relationship.
I am in.
They will use. They could use some of the sets from this show in The Last of Us, and it would fit right in.
I know what I'm watching tonight.
But it's just fascinating the way that this show is about this comic book. And how everything ties back to this. It's so weird, the connections that they draw in this show, and I really enjoyed it. And it goes places. It really goes places. So I highly recommend it, especially if you're okay with watching something about the pandemic. Because I watched it when that was still kind of raw, and it felt weird watching this pandemic unfold, but it was really good. The Bear, we mentioned it before. I really love that show. Like I think it falters. I think the ending. I didn't love the ending. I don't want them to do another season, but I'm okay with it happening. Episode 7, I think. One shot, amazing. Just some great performances. Yeah,
Jeremy Allen White. Holy crap!
Yeah,
what an actor.
And my last one, Dope Sick.
I forgot about Dope Sick.
Yeah.
I love Dope Sick.
I think it's an important show in a lot of ways. Like I think people should watch it and look at what pharmaceutical companies are doing to the world.
The Sackler specifically, those people are evil as shit.
I
Yes.
literally Googled it as you were talking about Station 11 because I was like, oh, that's right. You recommended Dopesick as well. And I was like, oh, so it came out apparently, like the first episode was October 2021. And I was like, oh, I don't know if you guys talked about it last year. I was like, I definitely, before this podcast finishes, need to bring up Dopesick because I just watched it this month. Fantastic show. And man, like, it made me so angry. It's like
Yes.
stuff in it, like, Will Poulter is amazing.
Yes,
In
yeah,
it,
he
I
is.
really like him. Michael Keaton, obviously, Caitlin Dever, but I was just like, oh man, that show, gut punch after gut punch sometimes, and I was just like, oh man, and yeah,
To see the Doctor become an
great.
addict it was really hard to watch in a lot of ways, but
brutal.
That's a good example of like that, of the inverse of the Wikipedia show. It's a true story. It could just be like a Wikipedia summary, but they make such a great story out of it.
Yeah,
That's what we need.
yeah. I mean, I think we need. Yeah, we're right. We need more of that because you could have just done that as a courtroom drama about the case of against the pharmaceutical company, but we get all these small stories about these people who were affected by this drug, and it has such an impact then. So yeah,
good.
more of that, please. More of that. All right. Anyone got anything else they want to throw in last year? Because we're not talking about last year ever again. It's done. It's dusted.
Licorice Pizza. Right? I don't know if you guys. Good film.
I should watch it. You've recommended it to me twice now, so
3 times, in fact. I'm going to say every day until you see it.
I don't know. Smile, which was another horror, was a horror film that I watched actually. It's not anything. It doesn't tell a deep story or anything like that, but it also has some scenes that stuck with me. It's very jump scary. Like literally, some of the scares are literally some of me like yeah, and it's just like scaring you. But it's a good fun horror movie if you're into that sort of thing. Conan.
Yeah.
That's it.
I do need to see it. I'm still mad at Avatar: Way of Water as well.
still mad at it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's all right, we need to apologize for the last podcast. We're like, oh, there's no way this is getting to $2 billion. There's no way this is profitable.
That's what I'm.
This movie has legs,
posted.
apparently.
Within 1 month, it overtakes all the hard work that Top Gun did. I'm so upset at it. Screw you,
man.
Screw
I
you,
don't
everyone.
get it. Like, that's the thing. I didn't put it on my most disappointing because, like, obviously, I don't think we had expectations for it being like a great film. But I wasn't expecting to be bored as I was during that, where I was checking my phone and my watch constantly what time it was. But hey, apparently people love that shit. So,
Yep,
it's gonna beat every movie ever.
Yeah, I've heard a
until
lot of
Avatar
people
3.
gushing about it, and I'm just like, that wasn't my experience. But
It's like I don't know what like with Metacritic, but like its Rotten Tomato score keeps dropping. Like it's down, it's in the 70s now when it was at 84 originally, and I'm like, what's going on? It's still dropping. Like critics have been like, it's not actually that great. But
interesting.
James Cameron's just buying movie tickets. I swear, it's just.
I mean, probably he's probably set something up with his sweet bean farm to just buy tickets of all the profits. And...
Yeah.
I saw an article today. He came out and said it's profitable now. So,
oh, thank God.
He's done the thing, I suppose. He's done the capitalism.
Bloody hell.
He won capitalism. Kudos, James.
Just a fun thing. Most anticipated like movie or TV show this year.
Oh,
2023.
I'll just quickly shout out The Last of Us, a show I'm very, very much looking forward to coming out next week.
I hope it's not bad. I hope it's not bad.
Our very own Conan has been invited to the world premiere.
I can tell you if it's bad 4 days before anyone else can.
It's I have a lot of faith in this for something that's usually a cursed, video game adaptation. You got the director of Chernobyl working with the director of The Last of Us and the writer of The Last of Us. Great cast, HBO, big budget. It looks like they're pushing it hard as like they want it to be successful and they're like marketing it. I'm like very, very high expectations, which is usually setting myself up for disappointment, but I'm very much looking forward to that show. So
yeah, it looks like they're looking for a new sort of flagship. And this could be the one.
Especially the years between House of Dragon, because it has taken a year off. So
exactly. For me, movie-wise, June Part 2, I'm very excited about. Yeah. Oppenheimer, obviously. Nolan's return. Okay. The new Spider-Man film. I'm actually really excited for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh my god!
I think that's going to be great.
Mm.
And like John Wick 4. So,
Morbius came out last year as well. We didn't talk about Morbius.
should that be the best film of the year?
It's Morbin time.
That's
It had Matt Smith in it, so you should love it.
I'll go check it out. And Jared Leto, man. I'm a 30 Seconds to Mars guy every day of the week.
Of course you are.
I don't think I have anything. Oppenheimer, obviously, I'm looking forward to. But yeah, Yellow Jacket season 2. I think that's coming this year, so I'm excited for that.
And another Avatar.
Can't
The
wait.
fire people. Fire.
Hey.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on The Good, The Bad, and The Worst. Check us out on socials. Please rate us 5 stars on Spotify. Next fortnight, we are doing the first 3 Rocky movies in our build-up to the release of Creed 3. So we're doing a few weeks of Rocky with Ant-Man sprinkled in there as well. So join us next time for the first 3 Rocky movies. If you enjoyed this podcast, you might enjoy our other podcast, Bonus XP, where we talk about video games. We're also brought to you by The Taste of Iron by CV Clark, another great piece of media that came out last year. Check it out on Amazon, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Peace.